to see everybody. I cannot tell you how good it feels to be able to be together with all of you for this right now. While I'm yapping, please go make yourselves comfortable, grab a warm drink and a snack. And I will say that this is the first program in a very long time, I just told everybody, where I did not make sure to have a box of tissues nearby. I'm Ariella Morkowitz, the founding director of SVIVAH. We have wonderful new faces here as always, and I am so glad that you found your way here. Quickly about SVIVAH. SVIVAH is about revolutionizing the way that women come together in community, discovering and exploring the unique and beautiful Torah that comes from our lived experience, a space where the Torah is personal and the personal is Torah. Our goal is always to learn with and from each other and to do all of this within a community of care. We define both Jewish and women very broadly. If you want to be with us, we want you with us and welcome. We love that we are multi-generational and diverse in our backgrounds and affiliations, and we come together in celebration and support of women, our strengths, our unique perspectives, and our ways of impacting the world. I'm reading through that, like I say, every time when we gather, and I'm just thinking about how many aspects of that description of us, of this community, have been so present for the last 2 years. Yeah. Thank you, Jordan, SVIVAH's Director of Community, for your presence and wisdom in bringing us together. Rabbanit, Dalia, for being here and bringing us joy through all the music that you scoured the universe to bring to us today. And I also really want to start by thanking Rabbanit Aliza Sperling first, because she's crazy and joining us at 1:30 in the morning from Israel, because that's how much this community means to her. And there was no way that she was going to miss this gathering. Because over the last 2 years, we've gathered 75 times to pray, to cry, to process, to worry, to bite our nails, to grieve together. And finally, something that I'm betting that I'm not the only one, something that I don't think many of us, all of us, thought would happen, actually happened. Back in November 2023, 1 month into all of this awfulness, Rav Sarah Mulhern came and taught for us and shared her tefillot. She called them her impossible prayers, and they sounded so impossible. And tonight we are sitting here being able to say that some of them actually came true. Just last night, Dalia and I were texting each other way too late at night and watching a video of Alon Ohel, the hostage whose mom made the yellow pianos famous in every big city around the globe. It was her son's trademark because he is a pianist. And last night he was on Israel's most popular television show playing the piano for the entire country to see. And it was just joy, not just because it was him being present, doing something that he loved, that his mother reminded us every day from every podium in every corner of the world, that that was who he was. But watching the cast and crew of the television show just surrounding him, taking so much joy and even a little bit of pride, a moment of relief of, we brought you home. We did it. Every poster, every rally, every donation, every Facebook post, every extra prayer, every extra candle, every extra tear, it worked. We all brought these people home. And I'm sitting here with my 2 hostages, the ones that I had a small personal connection to, Tamir, Adar, and Aviatar David. They are also both home. One healing and one buried with his loved ones nearby, but home. And in my house, we took down the yellow ribbons that we had hanging, and my kids joined in the process. And very ridiculously, I can't bring myself to get rid of them because for so many days, they were such a source of like pain. They were just a trigger of pain, waking up and seeing them. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Okay, I got it. And now they are just joy. It's joy to hold on to them, and I don't want to let them go. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do with them to keep them, even though my kids think I'm nuts. I know that this is not over and it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, but tonight we get to take a moment for gratitude because for every tear we shed and every prayer we said for the last 2 years, tonight we get 1 hour of just joy and gratitude. And I want to first thank every single one of you who showed up with such full heart and did the work of holding all of us, holding me, holding Dalia and Jordan and Aliza and each other. And that was not easy. And you showed up needing to be held, and you came and you gave, even as you needed to take. And it was a beautiful, for me, a beautiful 2 years of such fantastic and gorgeous and stunning community that I am, my little extra prayer now is that that doesn't end. So thank you to each one of you. And I'm going to hand it over back to Aliza. Thank you for being so wonderful and so crazy to do this for us tonight. You and Dalia have held our community through so much. Thank you for doing this half asleep at 1:30 in the morning.
Thank you so much, Ariella. It's so nice to be here with everybody. Hopefully I will not fall asleep in the middle, and hopefully you will not fall asleep in the middle of what I'm saying. I just wanted to say how thankful I am to Ariella for really bringing our community together so many times, and how grateful I am to Dalia and to Jordan and to all of you. Really, we really showed up. And Maayan, I guess you could tell the people in Israel, like, oh, I was with this group of people who showed up, what did you say, 73 times? 75 times over the course of the past 2 years for our brothers and sisters in Israel. And thank God it worked. 2 weeks ago, 20 living hostages came home. No living hostages are left in Gaza. The remains of the hostages who were killed were supposed to come back too. Right now, we're still waiting. It was a day that we had waited for so long. That day, my eyes, and I'm sure many of your eyes too, were glued to TV coverage, watching the Red Cross vans and then the hostages crossing into the hands of the IDF to the hospital and then their joyous reunion with their families. It was what we had dreamed about. And yet, the Halalim, the remains of the dead, some of the dead hostages are not all home. The war does not really seem to be over. There were murderers released in exchange for the hostages. It's so complicated. And that's just in Israel. In the United States, the government has been shut down since October 1st. SNAP benefits for food will expire soon. There are issues all over the United States, all over the world, all over Israel. And yet, we prayed for the day that the hostages would come home. We worked so hard. And if we wait for the world to be perfect before we say thank you and express joy, then we will wait forever. Our world is not perfected. Our job, one that takes a lot of courage, is to notice the good times and rejoice in them, even when it's complicated, especially when it's complicated. On Pesach, we say Dayenu. We list 15 kindnesses that God did for us. And for each one, we say Dayenu. I could never understand that because each one, it wouldn't have been complete without it. But I'm starting to understand now. Our job is to say thank you, to feel joy and to express joy, to notice the little things, not even little, to notice things, even when it's complicated, to make sure that we look at that our hearts feel the goodness that has been done. We have to hold on to the gifts we have been given. We have to have gratitude and say Hallel, the prayer, to say thank you to God. No one can take that away from us. And when we are grateful, it gives us the strength to keep working on all the other things that we need to work on and fight for. Tonight, we are saying Hallel, the Jewish prayer of gratitude. We have three amazing teachers who are going to lead us. They're going to teach us each one about a different part of the Hallel prayer, and then we are going to sing them. I'm so excited to be at a SVIVAH event where we can sing together, where we can share our joy, and where we can recommit to working even harder through our joy for all the other things that need to be done in this world. I want to first introduce Rabbi Cantor Hillary Chorny, whose bio you see right now in the chat. Thank you, Jordan. Rabbi Cantor Hillary Chorny completed her cantorial investiture, rabbinical ordination, and a master's degree in sacred music at the Jewish Theological Seminary before joining the staff of Temple Beth Am in August 2014. You can see her bio in the chat. I do want to mention that Rabbi Chorny, I hope, will tell us a little bit about a prayer that she developed for the return of the hostages. And we're so excited for you to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this invitation. I think one of the most extraordinary things about the past couple of years that continues to amaze me is the way that Jewish communities, plural, are coming together. This idea of achdut, creating oneness of Jewish community, tends to be strongest when we're sad, when we need those boxes of tissues that you were mentioning. SVIVAH is doing really important work, making sure that that sense of oneness and that sense of looking out for each other persists even when we're in a joyful mode. And thank you. I did wear my boba earrings because I felt like I should add a touch of silliness to and joyfulness and simcha to the moment. Um, so here's something that I want to unpack a little bit with this group together. Um, this isn't the first confusing moment or confounding moment for people who are trying to craft sacred spaces around the hope for the return of the hostages, peace, awaiting a sense of peace. And we've been trying to unpack that here in my own home community. I serve a community with 1,000 families. And even though I'm in a place where our synagogue is part of the conservative movement and we find ourselves a part of the center of Jewish religious life, my kids go to the day school in here in this community, and the day school has kids, hundreds of kids who represent different parts of the Jewish community, some Orthodox and Orthoprax, some relatively secular, but here for the Hebrew education, and all of us trying to figure out what does it mean to actually pray for peace, or uh, when is it time to let go, and when is it time to hope for more? That has all been a giant journey. The first time a live hostage was released, we turned to some of the imagery of Pesach, of the holiday of Passover, a holiday of freedom. And we thought about this idea of tempered joy. So I want to frame my remarks with this idea of tempered joy. The joy is rarely complete. Under a Jewish wedding canopy, under a chuppah, we break a glass, in part to recognize that the world, even when we're in a climactic sense of joy in our lives, we're still in a place of slight brokenness. We temper our joy. The same is true that God admonished the angels for celebrating, according to ancient storytelling, according to Midrash, because we shouldn't really rejoice even when our enemies are suffering. And therefore, when we're in a place of joy where we feel a little bit unsure about that 100%ness of that joy, we hold back a little bit. That's why the last 6 days of the holiday of Passover, we don't do a complete Hallel. So when just one hostage or just three hostages were released, we would do Hallel on the next morning of prayer in our community, whether it was a Tuesday or a Shabbat, but only Chatzi Hallel, only a partial Hallel, because we didn't have complete joy. So we've been wrestling with Hallel as a symbol of joy all throughout. When we got to the holiday of of Sukkot this year, we were still in that place of desperate hope that everyone would come home. And so I composed a plea to join all of the ancient poetry that we recite on the mornings of those holidays, a plea that comes in the form of what we call a Hoshana, like please God. We would parade around with our lulavim, with the big bouquet of different species, and shake it in the air wildly and say, please, by the time we finish making all these circles, may the hostages be home. And we kept countdown after countdown. In just a moment, I'll share with you a little bit of the text of that Hoshana. By the end of that holiday, by the end of the holiday of Sukkot, we reached the holiday of Shmini Atzeret. And then we were completing 2 years of this cycle of Torah and of holidays. And we were reaching a season where we could actually say, thank God, with great joy, that all the live hostages were returned home. And so I composed for that occasion an Al Ha-Nisim. It took hundreds and hundreds of years in Jewish history for us to go back to this text, the Al Hanisim, this very special prayer that we do on Purim and on Hanukkah, two holidays where enemies seem to have us in their grasp, and we won anyway. It took hundreds of years, the establishment of the state of Israel again, for us to get audacious enough, bold enough, brave enough to say, Al Hanisim again. How could we not Al Hanisim in the face of the creation of the state of Israel? And so in that same state of audaciousness and boldness, I composed this Al Hanisim, and our community recited it throughout the holiday. I'm going to put the text to both the Hoshana and the Al Hanisim in the chat now for you to take a look at. And I'm going to ask for you to respond to something in the chat. I'd like you to share something that you've recently done that you consider audacious or bold in the realm of hope. What's something that you did when you were in the last stages of holding your breath and waiting, hoping the hostages would come home, that you would categorize as audacious or bold or hopeful beyond hopeful? What's a prayer that you said? Is there something that you added to your own personal prayers? Did you, one of my neighbors hung a yellow ribbon from a tree and invited the whole neighborhood to hang their yellow ribbons from the tree too, just to get more public. Did you march? Did you dedicate your Sukkot to Ushpizin, to guests who you hoped would be back home by the end of the holiday? I want you to share something that you've done in the realm of being hopeful or bold, and that might be now too. Are you doing something now that you feel is bold or hopeful? Like maybe buying a ticket to go to Israel, thinking it's peaceful enough? Maybe you even made Aliyah. I know that's true for at least one person on this call. What have you done lately that's been audacious or bold? Saying Tehillim for 2 years straight, saying Psalms, the book of Psalms, which we'll get to in just a moment, for a couple years straight. Being bold and daring and audacious is a mode, and it's a fierce mode. The feminist mode, the Jewish mode, the prayerful mode. You don't get anywhere without audaciousness. And that's true not just, of leadership and in life and your community and your family. You kind of don't get anywhere in peoplehood and in the story of the Jewish people without boldness. Some of you might have grown up with an amazing story of audaciousness from our people. And it's a story I want to connect in with the psalm before we actually sing it together. Before I get to that story of boldness from our tradition, I want to kind of read some of these out loud. I appreciate the honesty. Not everybody feels that they're so bold or so audacious. People doing runs in honor of the situation in our world, staying in touch with our Israeli friends even when things are fraught, keeping an Israeli flag and yellow ribbons up in front of homes. Sometimes it felt bold just to put out a Chanukiah in front of our homes. Making Aliyah, Rabbanit, Aliza, even though there's never a good time. There's really never a good time for anything in life, by the way. It's not a good time to start a new job, to move, to go to Israel, to have a kid, to quit something. It never feels like it's the right time. It's always audacious and it's always bold. Some of us lost our sense of audaciousness and boldness. Some of us stopped saying that we hoped and we wished and we prayed. Some of us were boldly honest in how much hope that we had. saying Shechianu every day, showing up to this community, honoring how bold that you think that you're ready to be. These are all levels of boldness, letting go of friendships that didn't represent the characters and the values that you wanted to see in the people around you and the world. I'm so grateful for you for being bold enough to share some of that boldness, especially those of you who are bold enough to say that you're not bold, but bold enough to put that in the chat. I want to tell you a story, recount a story from our tradition, and then I want to sing with you before I pass this off to our next teacher. The story is the story of Nachshon ben Aminadav. This has a little bit of something in it as a story, both for those who consider themselves textually learned and those people who feel like you're just beginners when it comes to the canon of Jewish traditional texts. The story goes that the Israelites stood at the sea, and even though Moshe was working with God to split those waters, they weren't really splitting. According to Midrash, somebody needed to walk into that water in order for God to feel ready for those waters to part. God had to see our boldness and our audaciousness. And the character who that's attributed to is Nachshon ben Aminadav. I want to share with you something really special about one of the Psalms of Hallel before we sing it. I'll share it on the screen here. This is Psalm 114, the second full psalm that we say in Hallel. And I'll read the words out loud in Hebrew and showcase it also in the English. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, and the going out of Israel, its people from Egypt, from a narrow place. Beit Yaakov me'am loez, when the house of Jacob, which is also a name for our people Israel, left this strange, foreign, alien people. Haita Yehuda lekodsho. It was for Judah, the tribe of Judah, some sense of sanctity, lekodsho, for its or his sanctity. The rabbis in the Midrash, and this is picked up in the Talmud, I'll put that particular citation in the chat, wondered, what kedusha? What sanctity? How is Judah so holy? What is the psalm even talking about? And they say the sanctity that's being referred to here when we went out of Egypt, who had so much sanctity, so much holiness, and why was it characterized in Judah? Well, it has all to do with Nachshon, this character, Nachshon ben Aminadav, who came from the house of Judah, from the tribe of Judah. That the holiness in that moment of our leaving Egypt was encapsulated in one person's bold and audacious move to take a first step. I want you to give yourselves credit in the realm of boldness and audaciousness, particularly when it comes to being hopeful right now, because these last 2 years have only made it harder to be hopeful, not easier. I mean, maybe for some people it's made it easier because you feel like something has come true. Those really hopeful hopes have come true. Like Rabbi Sarah Mulhern said, those impossible hopes, they became possible. But I think it's only become harder because we see that sometimes you pray and you just don't know for a long time if something will come true. Let's sing a little bit of this psalm together. You're all behind mute buttons, so you're welcome to hum along, listen along, close your eyes and be a part of this. And hopefully it awakens in you a sense of a little bit of boldness, at least on this topic, at least in this moment. What is one thing that you're willing to tiptoe forward and do? Either in something that you're praying for, or perhaps in something that you're letting go of. So we'll sing through this particular paragraph of Hallel, and I'll pass this along to the next paragraph. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am loez, Haita Yehuda lekodsho Yisrael Angelotav Hayamra Vayanos Hayarden Yisov le'achor Harim Raketu Chayelim Givavot Kivnei Tzon Malechayam Kitanus Hayarden Tisov le'achor Harim Etir Kedu Chayelim Givavot kivnei ton, milifnei Adon chuli haaretz, milifnei Eloi Yaakov, ha'ovchi atzor, akamayim, chalamish lemayino mayim. Let's do one last thing before I hand this off. Um, Sometimes the bold thing is the letting go, as I said. And one thing that we've been doing in our community is collecting up ribbons and pins and other things that people are ready to let go of and putting them in a box to go into our geniza to be buried, like we bury texts with the name of God. I keep actually behind me. Maybe I'll bring it over just to share. Hang on. I have a plexiglass geniza. I didn't know I'd be doing this, but otherwise I'd have brought it over. And this is our plexiglass geniza, a place where we keep stuff that we bury before we're ready to bury it. And inside you can see people's dried up flowers and pins and ribbons and the posters that we've kept of the hostages. And we're getting ready. And around Pesach time, we'll open up the geniza in the garden on our property. And we'll bury it there to thank it for the holy place that it held in our lives. Thank you again for this invitation. I'm looking forward to learning with and singing with you all for the next few minutes. It's really, really special.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Cantor Hillary. That was so beautiful. And I've been wondering, like, I'm still wearing my necklace because I wasn't sure if I should take it off now or I really wanted to wait for the last 11 people. But I've been wondering, like, what am I going to do with it? And I never thought of that idea of putting it in a geniza until you just shared that right now. And that's really beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for the beautiful singing and teaching. It was wonderful. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Rabbanit Maayan Rabinovich, who is also up at, I think now it might be 2 a.m. at this point. And Maayan, I don't know if you realize this, but I have been hearing wonderful things about you for years because I was in Berkeley before you came to Berkeley. And since then, people said, oh, you have to meet her. She's incredible. And so I'm so honored and excited to learn from you tonight. And I'll share with everybody else a bit of Maayan's bio. So Rabbanit Maayan Rabinovich is Director of Community and Alumni at Nouveau Network. A passionate social activist and entrepreneur, she's active on social media and deeply engaged in community initiatives. Based in Tel Aviv, she's a proud Zionist and committed to Jewish values. As a reservist and a mother of 5, Maayan brings a unique perspective on balancing service, family, and community leadership. And thank you so much for being here and teaching us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What an honor to be here with all of you this evening. Thank you. As you were speaking about the ribbons, the first thing that came to my mind was that a few months into the war, I got a bottle of wine from Yaakov Argemani, Noah's father. We became very close at the beginning of the war. There's a message that I saw going around in a WhatsApp group that a father of a hostage is in the hospital. I live 5 minutes away. He's alone. Can anyone help? I assumed he wasn't alone, knowing people around me, but my husband was in Gaza those days in reserve duty. But I went over to see if there's anything that I could do. And of course, there were a lot of people there. And I spoke with him for a few minutes and I said, you know what, I'll come back in 3 days, in 4 days, maybe the crowds will come down. Went back 3 days later, sat down with him, went back the next week and the week after and the week after and the week after. And a few months in, Yaakov, Noah's father, gave me a bottle of wine. I'll put it in the chat in a minute. A bottle of wine that someone had created, this whole line of wine bottles with photos of the hostages. And each one of them was, and to respect, to pray for, to have in our minds one of the hostages. And he gave it to me, and I didn't know what to do with that bottle of wine. With that, I didn't feel I could open it. Didn't know what to do with it. So kind of we kept it on the shelf in the kitchen. And this past Simchat Torah, after Avinatan, Noah's partner, was released, I texted Yaakov and I was like, you know what? think it's time to open it up. It's kind of, if not now, then when? It goes back to the question of when do we celebrate joy? When can we put our finger on the calendar and say now? Now's the time. Now's the time to open up that bottle of wine. And as that was happening, my husband was still in reserve duty. He got out for one day, and he was with us for Chag, but he was going back the next day. And is it over? Is it not over? But realizing that, this is a moment to acknowledge and to celebrate and to open up that bottle of wine and to bless on it together. And we invited a lot of friends over and had a big l'chaim of acknowledging the miracle that had happened. Look, it's a big question of when we celebrate and how we celebrate. I want to spend the next few minutes diving into another chapter of Hallel, of a prayer that we are focusing on. I'll put the link to the chapter in the chat if anyone wants to open it up. And look, there's a big question that anyone who has been a parent or worked with a group of people knows, which is how happy can you be? Often people think that we can be as happy as our least happy child, or as our least happy family member. If there's anyone that's having a hard time, then our level of energy or of joy will be as much as the least happy person in the room. I want to challenge that sentence. We'll be challenging that over the next few minutes. But I want to start with this chapter of Psalms that starts very, very happy and joyous. Hodu Hashem ki tov ki la'olam chesdo. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good, for His loving kindness endures us forever. It's one of the songs that when we sing Hallel, the leader and the audience kind of go back and forth and kind of repeat, very, very happily ever after. Thank you, ki la'olam chesdo, because your kindness and goodness is forever, as if everything is okay. But 30 seconds later, we start diving in to understand where this gratitude comes from, or what brings us to this joy. And it starts in a very dark, narrow place. Min hametzav karatiya, anani b'merchavya. Out of my distress, I called upon the Lord. The Lord answered me with liberation. Coming from a very narrow place, which I think we all felt deeply over the past 2 years, being in a very narrow place. If any of you have been to the hostage square in Tel Aviv, they put up exhibit of a tunnel. I'm a mother of 5 daughters, and we live in Tel Aviv, not far away, so we've been there many, many times. And my 7-year-old wanted to go into the tunnel. I kept refusing and saying it's not age appropriate. Nothing about this war was age appropriate to anyone, not to kids, not to adults. But she ran down to the bomb shelter time after time. It was not age appropriate, but it was what it was, and they were amazingly brave and kind to one another with everything that was going on. But that tunnel was sometimes when metaphors come to life, like this very narrow place that we were in, that we're calling out from, isn't only a metaphor, it's real. It's also a reality. That then opens up, and finally we can also feel a little bit of a liberation since people came out of those very dark places. Moving a few verses ahead in this chapter. Lo amut ki echye ve'aseper ma'aseya. The Psalms goes on and said, I shall not die but live and declare the works of the Lord. I shall not die but live and tell the story and share this tale. And I see this as an ongoing calling to tell the story and to build the narrative and to choose how we tell it and what we say. After Noah came back, after Noah was released, I'll reach that in a moment, Um, I was sitting in their living room, Noah and I. We're sitting in her parents' living room. And Yaakov, her brother, came by and said, "Oh, I found a necklace, a bracelet. I found a bracelet on the floor. Is it yours?" And putting on a bracelet is something that is very difficult to do on one's own. It's usually easier when someone else helps close the buckle. So I was closing the buckle on Noah's bracelet a few weeks after she was miraculously released. And on the necklace were engraved these exact words: "I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of Hashem. Lo amut ki ehyeh va'asaper ma'aseyah." And I was closing the buckle on the necklace, on the bracelet, she said, "This is my story. This is my story. I survived to tell. I survived to share, and I survived to carry on to the world what happened to me." And and I think this is also something for all of us for me, I find this as a calling to build a narrative that I want to be a part of, and to frame the story that I share. Because going through what she went through, going through what we all went through, is so challenging. And I think there's a huge question about what is it that we tell, and how do we frame it, and what do we share about it. A few months ago, we had a family reunion, my extended family, my husband's family. And everyone went around in a circle and said, "What did you learn over the past 2 years of war?" And my 10-year-old, who was running up and down to the bomb shelter hundreds of times. We live on the fourth floor, so I was running 5 floors down each time. Both my husband and I serve in reserve duty, so it was a lot on her shoulders. She said, "I learned that people are good, and I learned that people are kind." She said, "So many people helped us out when Abba was in Miluim, when Abba was in reserve duty. So many people helped us out when we needed. We helped out so many other people. If it was going to hotels to visit displaced people, if it was writing letters for soldiers, or visiting hostage families, or doing..." I was thinking what it was, the story. If a 10-year-old after 2 years of war can say, "I learned that people are kind and good." I think telling the story and being active in the story that we tell is a huge part of healing and of building the reality that will be from this day on. This chapter of Psalms was written thousands of years ago, and I think I've never felt it come to life as much as during these past 2 years. I will give three thanks. I don't know why three. That's the translation here. I will give thanks, for you have answered me. Thank you for answering me. You mentioned here before, the speakers that spoke before me, about our prayers being answered. The word anitani, answering, in Hebrew, that root also has a different meaning. It's also that we are grateful because our prayers have been answered. But the root, Ayin Nun Hey, this Hebrew root of these three letters, we might ring a bell familiar from Pesach when we speak about lechem oni, of the bread of oni. And there, some of the commentaries say, oni is also because we were answered. It's the bread that we were answered. But it's also the bread of ani, of poor. It's also inui, of suffering. We're grateful. It's almost impossible to stay grateful for suffering. It was also mentioned here before, the squeezed tight situation that we were in also brought out of us things in us that we never would have known of otherwise. Again, I think we would all be happy not to go through this and not chosen this. Once it happened, I think both as communities and individuals, it brought out something that that wouldn't have been discovered in other circumstances. And I want to be grateful also for those things, for what was brought out because we were squeezed so much. And sometimes that stress brings something out that I want to also be grateful for those things. I'll skip because our time is short. This is the day which the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And I want to bring two moments of that rejoicing. One was just a couple of weeks ago. Again, I said that I live very close to the Ichilov hospital. And over the past 2 years, time after time, we could hear the helicopters landing on the roof of Ichilov. And anyone who lives next to a hospital knows that if a helicopter comes and not an ambulance, it means the situation is bad. Anyone who has enough time is brought by vehicle. Anyone who doesn't is brought by a helicopter. So every time you heard a helicopter landing over the past 3 years, we knew it was an injured soldier that was brought. We knew it was someone in a critical situation. We knew something bad was happening. And on Monday morning, a few weeks ago, we were standing on the porch and looking at the helicopters bringing back the hostages to the Ichilov hospital. And every helicopter that was landing in the hospital, we were all waving and yelling at the helicopters. And finally, those helicopters were bringing joy. And another moment of incredible joy was about a year and a half ago. It was a Shabbat afternoon. We were sitting down for Shabbat lunch, and my phone rang. My phone usually doesn't ring on Shabbat. People that know me know that I usually don't answer my phone. And I saw on the screen a number of a lone soldier that we have adopted. A lone soldier that made Aliyah from Sibir, from Russia, and we were her family here. So I saw her number and I immediately thought, it's an emergency. So I answered the phone and she yelled on the other side. She said, she's back. Who's back? She said, Noah is back. My husband was in reserve duty that during that month, very long time. And amongst the other things that he was doing in reserve is that they were rescuing bodies of hostages. And that week, they also rescued a few hostages that were brought back to be buried. So she said that Noah was back, and immediately my heart dropped. I didn't know in what condition she was brought back. And my friend kept yelling on the phone and saying, she's alive. She was rescued. She was brought back, and she's on her way to Tel Shomer Hospital to visit her mother. And then she was brought to the Ichilov hospital. Tears started, of course, shedding, and immediately my daughters, myself, my husband, we ran out of the house to the hospital to go and greet her. And now I remember hearing the stories about what the streets of Israel were like in 1947 after the declaration in the UN, and then on the 5th of Iyar, 1948, when the state was declared, of just spontaneous circles of joy in the streets. And that Shabbat morning, I felt that from kind of in first person. We ran to the hospital, and over the 8 months that Noah was in captivity, there was friends and families that became very, very connected to one another. We didn't know each other before, but we became a very strong tie, and we all gathered to the hospital, and we're just celebrating there, and this unbelievable miracle that had happened. Of course, we didn't overwhelm them. We let them meet in privacy. But 2 days later, meeting Noah for the first time was a feeling of someone coming back from the dead in a way that I did not believe. I didn't believe it would happen. I was so worried, and there she was. An incredible miracle. And at the same time, with this huge joy, the next verse is, Ana Hashem Hoshiana, Ana Hashem Tzlichana, save us, we pray. help us. Because these miracles happen at a very, very heavy price. These miracles happen thanks to the bravery and sacrifices of many brave people. And also, even that day, going up to the elevator, going up and to meet Noah, the news broadcast in the elevator was announcing about Arnon Zmola, the soldier who was severely injured and later on was killed rescuing her. And I think that Psalms is constantly this in between of, on the one hand, being overwhelmingly joyous and grateful, and at the same time holding the prayer and the narrow place and the suffering that we're within. And one doesn't cancel the other. And we can hold both ends at the same time. And if I begin with, we can only be as happy as our least happy child. My father told me once that after years of holding by that sentence, he decided to be as happy as his happiest child. Because there will always be an unhappy family member. Always. Will always be something that is not whole. Even now, as we're celebrating the hostages that came back, there are hundreds of people that will never be with us again, whose lives were lost over this war. And we will constantly be living with that hole in our heart. And yet we can celebrate and be grateful for what we do have. And holding on to those two things, I think, is what Hallel invites us to do. Not celebrating out of ignoring the challenges, but from kind of growing from within. We're grateful from the challenges. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Maayan. It's so incredible to hear it from somebody who was so close, right? So many of us are watching these things through the computer and we're so distant physically, and it's hard to know all the inside details, and to hear the beautiful way that you shared those stories and this text is really meaningful to all of us. So thank you. And we're going to actually now have an opportunity to listen to a beautiful rendition of the words that Rabbanit Maayan was just talking about of Min HaMetzer Karatiyah. This version is going to be sung by, it's on a video, but it's going to be sung by Rabbi Deborah Sachs-Mintz, who's Hadar's director of Tefillah and music, and who just really takes music, sacred song, and just creates this beautiful vibe, this beautiful energy that I find really helps me to connect even deeper to this tefillot, to these prayers. So I hope it'll be meaningful for you as well. And while we're doing that, we're also going to take this opportunity to share in the chat. So I'm going to offer a prompt now, and then while we play the music, feel free to sing along, feel free to listen, or feel free to share in the chat if you'd like. And what I really want us to kind of delve into deeper is what Rabbanit Maayan spoke about, of this idea of kind of, we were like squeezed in this min hametzar, in this narrow place, and then we came out a new person and kind of with new learnings. So if anyone would like to share something that they're taking away from these last 2 years, like her daughter shared, we can learn from her incredible 10-year-old, and each of us can think about, what is our takeaway? What's something new that we've learned, something new that we've found within ourselves, within our community, or within the world. So I invite you to share that as we listen to the music, and feel free to sing along.
בשר קראתיה, ענני במרחביה. אדוני לי לא יירא, מה יעשה לי אדם? אדוני לי לא יירא, מה יעשה לי
Wow, that was so beautiful. I've heard this beautiful music before, but tonight it meant so much more because of your words, Maayan, and the way that you brought so much life to these words. So thank you so much. We're so blessed that we have tonight with us not only Maayan, who was so active and giving even when her husband was away, and she too was serving, and 5 kids, and I don't know how you did it, and really incredible. I want to introduce you to somebody else who also just stepped in to try to help during this really difficult time, and that is Rabba Anat Sharbat. So Rabba Anat lives in Tel Aviv as well, and she hopefully is sleeping right now, but she did send us a video. And what Rabba Anat did was that we've all heard of Hostage Square, where there are exhibits and where people came to show support for the hostages, and where many hostage families came to tell their story. And Anat set up, ever since October 7th, I believe, from the very beginning, for the past 2 years, every Shabbat, she has led a Kabbalat Shabbat, Shabbat Friday night services, and Havdalah, and services to mark the end of Shabbat in Hostages Square. And as she has said, the two principles behind what she set up are tikva, hope, and achdut, unity, to bring hope to the people in the square, and also to bring together all parts of the nation to come together in prayer for the hostages. And every Shabbat she is there, and she shared with us some of the pictures and videos from the past 2 years. And as she was sending them to us, she wrote to me that she was crying just looking at all these pictures and remembering the long journey that from October 7th until now. And so she sent pictures from the hardest times, and she also sent pictures and videos from Hoshana Rabbah, from the day when everybody was gathered together to see the hostages come home. So Anat, we're going to watch a video that Anat recorded for us to tell us a little bit about her work at Hostage Square, and also some of her hopes in the Hallel.
On Hoshana Rabbah, in the morning, 2 years exactly after what happened to us, the devastating thing that happened to us on Simchat Torah, October 7th. We have a miracle, Nes Galui, 20 live hostages came back to Israel 2 years exactly after. it was a very, very emotional morning and day that ended in Simchat Torah in the evening, that we celebrate gratefully, amazingly, with such a joy on the night of Simchat Torah in Kikar Chatufim. We say Hallel as our prayer for being grateful and thankful, and to express our joy. And I want to talk about the complexity of the moment, and that the Hallel shows us also the complexity. So during my 2 years that I prayed in the Kikar, Kabbalot Shabbat and Havdalah, every week out, week in and week out, we didn't know what will happen. We didn't know that this will be the end. And we keep praying in two things that we wanted the Kikar, the hostage square, to hold, is tikva, hope, and achdut, unity. As you know, in Israel, it was before the war that we started to feel that the unity is something that we want, but is not part of our texture. And what we wanted to do in the hostage square is to bring back the hope and to bring back the unity of Am Israel in Medinat Israel, but all over the world. We had so many people that joined us and believed with us and prayed with us. And Baruch Hashem, they came back.
עד שהם פוגשים את הכוח הישראלי הראשון. אז הצלב האדום קיבל לידיו את החטופים הראשונים, את גלי וזיוי ברמן, את איתן מור, את מתן אנגרס.
We came back. But we have to remember that there are families that still are waiting for their beloved to come back. The Halalim, the people that is not alive anymore and still are in captivity. On our circles of Havdalah, Rubi Chen, the father of Itai Chen, used to come and to explain and to say a lot about being a parent, being a father of someone who is not alive, with all the fear that they will stay as hostages in the Hamas. And on Motzei Shabbat, when Witkoff came to the hostage square and spoke to the many, many people that were there, Ruby also spoke to us. He and Iluz asked us in our circle after the demonstration, our Havdalah circle, they came into our circle and begged that we will stay and support them because they did not have their children yet. When we were in the Kikar, we hold hope, and we had the hope of everyone that joined us in the prayer in the Kikar. People that are from Israel, that are religious and non-religious people that are from abroad that came and joined us, Jewish from Israel and Jewish from abroad, but also we had people that are non-Jews that came and support us and joined our tefillah. And this And this is what a Hallel that holds the hope, says, Hodu Lashem ki tov ki leolam chasdo. This is Hodaya. This is something that we are grateful for. Yomana Israel, Yomruna Bet Aaron, Yomruna Yireh Adonai. We see that the hope is together. We are together praying. Ahavti ki yishma Hashem kol tachanunai. Even when I'm in distress and begging, Ahavti. I love the idea that I hold that God listened to my begging, listened to my distress, even when I don't see the result yet. And this is part of Hallel of the full Hallel that holds the complexity of being grateful, joyful, but also trying to say that there's still hope that I need, and I need to work and to pray, and my joy is not complete. And this is exactly what I feel. I feel that now that we have most of the Chatufim are back, but we still have 13 that are still there, and it's so complex and it's so devastating for the families and for us that the Hamas is playing with us. We still say Hallel for the energy, for the hope, for the unity, for being grateful of what we have, and for the rehabilitation of who came already. I hope that this phase of us waiting for hostages will be behind us soon, and I hope that those who are alive will be able to become rehabilitated and will be able to continue their life normally. And I am praying for the families that are waiting for their beloved children and beloved people, for us, our brothers. I hope that they will come back soon.
As Rabba Anat just said, we're still waiting. There's, as she said, 13, but as of today, there's 11 families that are still waiting to have their loved one come back. So we are going to recite Tefillot for them tonight, and also here are the names. We'll recite these are the people that we're still waiting for to be returned for a respectful, proper burial, and to give the families some measure of closure. Itai Chen, Joshua Luta Molel, Ran Gavili, Jor Or, Asaf Hamimi, Lior Urev, Manny Godad, Omer Nutra, Daniel Oz, Sansisek Rintok, and Hadar Golden. And today we welcome back into Israel Shachar Baruch and Amiran Cooper and may their families receive comfort from all of us and from all of the Jewish people, from all of Am Yisrael. So we'll now recite a tefillah for the Chatufim, for the captives, for those 11 that were still waiting to be returned. And the last time we used this slide and said this, it was before the 20 live hostages had come back. So it feels so different to say it now because, as Rabbi Anat mentioned, there's this, it's just complicated, right? There's this mix of joy. I'm so happy to say this tefillah without those 20 people being without worrying about them and without wishing that they would come home, since they already have, but also still holding those 11 families and those 11 people who are no longer alive in our hearts. So I'll recite this prayer for the Chatufim, for the captives. Misha berach avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'yishmor v'yinatzor et nedrei v'nadrot tzavah ha'haganah Yisrael v'shvuyav v'et nadrei v'nadrot toshvei medinat Yisrael v'shvuyaha ואת כל אחינו הנטועים בשרה בשביה בעבור שכל הקהל הקדוש הזה מתפלל בעבורם. May all of the people who are captives be returned because of the prayers that we are reciting on their behalf, this beautiful community, this beautiful kehillah. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, ויוציאם מחושך וצל מוות, ומוסרותיהם ינתק, וממחוזותיהם יושיעם, וישיבם מהרה לחיק משפחותיהם. May God bring them out of the dark places in which they are, and may they be brought and returned to their families. יודו לאדוני חסדו ונפלאותיו לבני אדם. May God's wonders and God's kindness and miracles be known to everyone. V'kuyam b'hamikra shekatuv, and may this verse become true. V'ziyeh Adonai yeshivun uva'ot Zion berina v'simchat olam al rosham sason v'simcha yasigu v'yanasu yagom v'anacha v'nomar amen. May all those who have been taken captive be returned to Israel with joy, and may joy and happiness and gladness be among us. And right now, what we're waiting for is not so much joy as it is closure, but we've also experienced this joy as we've been talking about all night. So again, now I see this verse in such a different light and with so much greater complexity. And let this prayer please be answered on all of our behalfs, and mostly on behalf of the families and loved ones who are still waiting. And we're going to say one more tefillah, and that is for all of those that are in harm's way, because this isn't entirely over. We are celebrating in this moment, and yet there are people in need of healing, in need of comfort, and in need of so many other types of care. So I'll recite this tefillah in English. Feel free to read it along in Hebrew or English, whatever feels right for you. Please, God, watch over and protect the sheep of your flock who are held captive in Gaza. Protect the soldiers and the security forces and all those currently in harm's way. Save them all from any peril and harm. Let no evil befall their tents. And save those who are in physical or psychological danger from the calamities that trouble this world. Please send complete healing to all the ill and all the wounded. Please hear the voice of our supplications, for you are the one who hears the prayers on every tongue. Blessed is the one who hears the prayers. Okay. So we want to share one more piece with you, and we definitely want to end tonight in a place of joy. So there's still so much to pray for, but we want to call your attention to the chat, because part of what's felt joyous is feeling like we've been part of this journey, and there's been things that we've done that might have influenced this beautiful outcome in some way. So we want to keep on doing things. We want to keep on being active, and we want to keep on contributing to our community and to the world in whatever way we can. So we're going to share with you in the chat a few worthy causes, places you could donate if you'd like, on opportunities to volunteer and to advocate. We want to encourage all of us, and I'm including myself in this, to keep working so hard to put good energy into the world. And let's keep doing that. Let's keep praying and supporting and giving and doing whatever we've been doing these past 2 years to fix the world. Because apparently, as we saw this month, sometimes the efforts actually work and miracles happen. So you can see the names of the organization in the chat, and we'd love if you have a cause that's dear to you and we should know about it. Please feel free to add that to the chat as well. And now I want to share with you another song, something just gorgeous. It's called Sof Tov, or Happy Ending, by Yoni Block. So back in January of this year, Yoni Block released a beautiful song about the return of the hostages and the end of the war with an AI-generated video showing the most amazing images of Israelis celebrating in the streets, peace around the world, a return to normal life, and a world where everything is better with a happy ending. Here are some of the lyrics. Maybe we'll just start with a happy ending and go backwards in time. We'll post photos in the streets of everyone we brought back from there. But just last week, following the release of 20 hostages and the signing of the ceasefire deal, Yoni re-released the same song with a real-life version of the video filled with actual images of the hostages returning home and news clips and videos from across Israel. You can feel all the same joy as is in the AI version, but this time it's real. And watching it, you can feel the joy that poured from the sky on that day. So we're going to share 2 links in the chat for you to watch later. One is the full AI video. The second is a comparison of the AI video and the real life version, and it's pretty amazing to see side by side. And we're going to play the real life happy ending video now to remind ourselves of all the good, even in the middle of all that was so hard and scary and sad and complex, because the good was so, so, so sweet. And I'm so glad that we took this time to say thank you for this version of the happy ending that maybe some of us didn't expect would ever come true. And as Yoni Block wrote himself at the end of the notes to the song, we know this isn't really the end, yet 11 of our fallen hostages still remain captive. But at least it's the start of the end. Here's the video.
אולי פשוט נתחיל עם סוף טוב ונלך אחורה בזמן, נפרסם תמונות ברחוב של כל מי שהחזרנו משם, נתחיל אחרי שיש כבר שלום ורק נשאר לסגור כמה פרטים, נזמין את כל תושבי הצפון למסיבת שפיות ברעים. חוץ מזה אין מה לדבר, חוץ מזה זה לא יעזור, משהו אחד יסתדר ומשהו אחר יעבור, חוץ מזה אנחנו פה כבר ואין לנו לאן לעזור, אז גם אם לא נשיג שום דבר, לפחות נתחיל עם סוף טוב. אולי נחזור לריב על שטויות, ניתקע כל בוקר בפקק, נראה חצי שעה חדשות והופעה של ברונו בפארק, נוכל לטוס לאן שנרצה ואז לחזור הביתה כי נגמר. אם מישהו ישאל מה קורה, נגיד לו שעכשיו כבר מותר. חוץ מזה אין מה לדבר, חוץ מזה זה לא יעזור, משהו אחד יסתדר ומשהו אחר יעבור, חוץ מזה אנחנו פה כבר ואין לנו לאן לעזור, אז גם אם לא נשיג שום דבר, לפחות נתחיל עם סוף טוב. חוץ מזה נגמר כבר הזמן ואין לנו לאן לעזור, דיברנו על כל סוף בעולם, לפחות נתחיל עם סוף טוב. חוץ מזה אנחנו פה כבר ואין לנו לאן לעזור, אז גם אם לא נשיג שום דבר, לפחות נתחיל עם סוף טוב.
my God. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. Okay. Okay. I'm missing the tissues. Sorry. And I am so glad to miss them for this. I will watch that 1,000 times later today. Sorry. And I will make sure to send it out right away. This is a good plug for the SVIVAH WhatsApp group. I'll put it there. How about that? And the SVIVAH Facebook group. I'll put it there right away. You don't even have to wait for your emails. An enormous, enormous thank you to Rabbi Chorny, Rabbanit, Rabinovich, Rabbi Sharbat, Dalia, Jordan, Aliza. Thank you, thank you, thank you for holding us in this moment of imperfect joy, but miraculous joy, and a reminder that just like every single emotion that we've gone through these past 2 years, this one is complicated too, but to lean into it as maybe unfamiliar, as unfamiliar this feeling of joy is to our hearts, our very, very tender hearts, but to take it in and yes, watch that video 1,000 times over again. Thank you to all of you for being here with your beautiful hearts, and tolerating our tears and bringing your own. Our Facebook group is always a place for us to connect. I promise I will put the link there right now. And our WhatsApp announcement group, I will put it there too. Thank you to all of you who support SVIVAH, continue to support SVIVAH and help us do these beautiful things that mean so much to all of us. We are so, so, so incredibly grateful. Thank you for being here today. I promise we will see you soon, and we get to take this moment to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. May it bring you peace and replenishment and peace and safety for the entire world. I'm going to stick around for 10 more minutes to say hello to anybody who wants to, but I'm going to let our teachers and our Israelis go to sleep with so much love. Thank you for being here and making tonight happen. Mwah.